Alright guys, welcome to the video for Tuesday, June 21st, 2022. My name is Brock Page and I do sports picks for free right here on YouTube. I also sell my personal bets on patreon.com/BrockPage. And I have packages on that website starting at just $1.99. And with that, let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to start off with the Dodgers taking on the Reds, 6:40 p.m. East. LA's minus 175, totals 9.5. Tony Gonsolin for Los Angeles. Tyler Mahle for Cincinnati. Now, Mahle's had a pretty rough go of things this year. He's just 2-5 with a 4.46 ERA. The Reds have also had a tough time winning ball games at home. These guys are just 12-20 straight up at the Great American Ballpark. They're taking on a Dodger team who does a nice job hitting the baseball. These guys are in the top 5 in OPS, and they're averaging nearly 5.5 runs a game. They're also led by Trey Turner, who's hitting .301 with 49 runs batted in. And if hitting wasn't enough, this is arguably the best pitching staff in all of baseball right now. Tony Gonsolin comes into today's ball game with a perfect 8-0 record and a 1.42 ERA. The righty's also struck out 60 batters in just over 63 innings of work. And he's got himself a sub .85 whip. Now, total-wise, the Dodgers have gone 23-10 to the under as the official road team. Meanwhile, Cincinnati saw 3 out of their last 4 at the Great American Ballpark fall under the total as well. I'm going to lean toward the Dodgers minus 1.5 and the under 9.5 runs. Next ball game, Rockies, Marlins, 6:40 p.m. East. Miami's minus 130, totals 8 runs. Daniel Castano for Miami. Ryan Feltner for Colorado. Now, Feltner's got just 1 win through 26 innings. He also has an ERA slightly above 4.80. And even if Feltner has a good game, this Rockies lineup can't score away from Denver. They're nearly dead last in the majors right now in road scoring per contest. They're taking on Daniel Castano, who's yet to allow an earned run in over 10 innings of work. As a matter of fact, this Miami pitching staff is amongst the leaders in the National League right now in striking batters out. Now, total-wise, the Marlins went 4-1 to the under in their last 5 ball games. Meanwhile, Colorado's 7-3 to the under in their last 10. I'm going to lean toward Miami minus 130 and the under 8. Next matchup, it is going to be Nats, O's, 7:05 East. Now, this game's currently off the board. Eric Fetty possible for Washington, Jordan Lyles maybe for Baltimore. And even though Lyles has had his fair share of shaky starts, he's still got 4 wins on the year and 62 strikeouts. The O's also have a winning record at home. And they've averaged nearly 5.5 runs a game in their last 10 meetings against Washington. And speaking of the Nats, they played some pretty bad baseball while traveling. Out of their 32 road games this year, Washington got the W only 12 times. And they're officially 22 games below 500 for the season. They also have Eric Fetty on the mound here today, who's got a losing record and a 4.88 ERA. Now, equally as bad, Fetty's also got a whip above 1.55. I'm going to lean toward Baltimore winning this one outright for some money line cash. Next matchup, Cubs, Pirates, 7:05 East. Pittsburgh's minus 150 at home, totals 9 runs. Ronzi Contreras for Pittsburgh. Matt Swarmer for Chicago. And even though Swarmer's allowed a bunch of earned runs, he's still got 19 strikeouts in just over 20 innings pitched. He also comes into today's ball game with a 1.26 whip. The Cubbies, they've done a nice job of scoring runs in recent meetings with Pittsburgh. These guys are averaging nearly 5.5 runs a game in their last 10 contests against the Buccos. They're also led by Frank Schwindel, who's the team leader in RBI. Now, the Cubs are going up against Ronzi Contreras here today, who actually comes into this ball game with just 1 win on the year and a 1.30 whip. And even if Ronzi does end up looking pretty good here today. He's backed by a piss-poor Pittsburgh lineup who's in the bottom 3 in team batting average. Now, total-wise, Pittsburgh's 62% to the under at PNC Park. They're also 9-4 to the under against divisional opponents at home. I'm going to lean toward the Cubs plus 1.5 and the under 9. Next matchup, it is going to be Tigers taking on the Red Sox. That's going to be a 7:10 Eastern start time. Boston's -$2, totals 9.5. Rich Hill for the Red Sox, Bo Brieske for Detroit. Now, Bo's really having a tough year despite some good outings, and he's certainly going to have his hands full here with this Boston lineup. Bo comes into today's ballgame with a 1-5 record. He's also backed by the worst lineup in baseball. The Tigers are averaging only 2.9 runs a game, and they hit fewer home runs per 9 than any other team in the Bigs. Now, Detroit's taking on a Boston club on the other side of things, who loves to hit the baseball themselves. They currently rank in the top 3 in the majors in team batting average. J.D. Martinez, he's hitting .335 at the plate. Trevor Story's also got 45 RBI. He's the team leader in that category. When it comes to the pitching in this one, Rich Hill's got 44 strikeouts along with a 1.22 whip. Now, total-wise, Boston's 17-12 to the under against American League opponents at Fenway. Meanwhile, Detroit's 20-8 to the under as the official road team. I'm going to lean toward Boston -1.5 and the under 9.5. Next game, Yankees-Rays, 7:10 p.m. East. This game's currently off the board. Nestor Cortez for the Yankees. Josh Fleming possible for Tampa Bay. And if Flems does get the start, it could mean bad news for Rays backers. This dude comes into today's game with a 6.38 ERA and a 1.96 whip. Tampa Bay's also playing some really bad baseball right now. They lost 8 out of their last 10, and they're amongst the worst in baseball in team OPS at the dish. They're taking on Nestor Cortez here today, who's been virtually unhittable. Cortez has a 1.94 ERA, along with a .93 whip. The lefty's also struck out 75 batters in just over 69 innings pitched. This Yankee lineup also leads the league in many offensive statistical categories, a few of those being scoring, OPS, and home runs. Speaking of homers, Aaron Judge has hit a league-best 25 home runs, along with 50 runs batted in. Meanwhile, Anthony Rizzo, he's right behind him with 19 round trippers on the year. I'm going to lean toward the Yankees winning this one outright for some money line cash. Next game, Giants-Braves, 7:20 East. Atlanta's -160, totals 9.5. Spencer Long-Strider for Atlanta, Anthony DeSclafani for San Francisco. And even though Anthony's been knocked around a bit this year, he is still averaging a strikeout an inning through limited work. The Giants also do a nice job hitting for power. They're in the top 10 in home runs per game. They're also amongst the scoring leaders in the National League right now. Now, Wilmer Flores, he's touched home 33 times already. Meanwhile, Jock Peterson has 36 RBI and 14 home runs. They're taking on an Atlanta club who simply strikes out just way too many times at the dish. These guys are averaging nearly double-digit strikeouts a game at the plate. And even though Strider has looked really good this year, he's had some really good outings. Once again, looked really good for the most part. This Atlanta pitching staff as a whole, I'll tell you what, they've given up a lot of hits at Truist Park this season. Now, when it comes to the number in this one, Atlanta's gone 22-13 at the over in their own stadium. They're also 61% to the over against National League competition at home. I'm going to lean towards San Francisco plus 1.5 and the over 9.5. Next game, Guardians-Twins, 7:40 East. Minnesota's -155, totals 9.5. Joe Ryan for Minnesota, Aaron Savali for Cleveland. Now, Savali's certainly been a shell of himself this season. Having said that, though, he does have 30 strikeouts in just 31 innings of work. The Guardians have also played some really good baseball as of late. They're 8-2 in their last 10, and they're amongst the better road scoring teams in the American League. Jose Ramirez, he's hitting .305. He also ranks second in the bigs in RBI. And of course, Ramirez is leading the majors right now with a 1.039 OPS. He's taking on a Minnesota team who lost 3 out of their last 5. And they scored only 3 total runs in those losses. This Minnesota lineup has also struck out an awful lot at target field this year. Now, when it comes to scoring, the Twins are 3-1 to the over as the official home team. Meanwhile, Cleveland's gone 60% to the over in their last 10 at any location. I'm going to lean toward Cleveland plus 1.5, keeping this one close, and the over 9.5 runs. Next ball game, Phillies, Rangers, 8:05 Eastern start time. Texas is minus $1.25 at home, totals 8.5. Martin Perez for the Rangers, Kyle Gibson for Philadelphia. Now Gibby's 4-2 with 62 strikeouts and a 1.22 whip. Phils have also won 7 out of their last 10. And they've been pounding the baseball. Bryce Harper's hitting .326 and ranks in the top 10 in RBI and OPS. Meanwhile, Kyle Schwarber's leading the franchise in home runs with 18 of them. They're taking on a Rangers squad on the other side of things who lost 4 out of their last 6 themselves. And they also played their worst baseball at Globe Life Field. Texas is currently just 14-18 as the official home team. They're also in the bottom 10 in team batting average. Now, when it comes to the number in this one, the Rangers went 60% to the over in their last 10 outings. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, the Phillies saw 3 out of their last 5 ball games on the road get over the total themselves. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward Philadelphia plus 105 and the over 8.5 runs. Next matchup I have for you, it is going to be Blue Jays taking on the White Sox. That's going to be an 8:10 Eastern first pitch. Toronto's minus $1.25, totals 8.5. Kevin Gausman for the Blue Jays, Dylan Cease for Chicago. And even though Cease is having a fairly good year, his whip has crept up to 1.35. He's also backed by a Chicago lineup who really hasn't hit all that well for power. They've actually hit fewer home runs than most teams in the American League right now. They're taking on a Toronto club on the other side who actually does a real nice job at the dish themselves. The Jays are in the top 3 in OPS right now. They're also amongst the leaders in the American League in home runs per game. Vlad Guerrero's got 17 home runs and 41 runs batted in. Meanwhile, Alejandro Kirk, he's the team's leader in batting average as he's hitting .307. Now, pitching-wise, Kevin Gausman is on the bump here today. He's got himself 5 wins on the year along with a .321 ERA. Now, the righties also struck out 80 batters in just 73 innings of work. So strikeouts still up for Gausman. And when it comes to the total, 7 out of Toronto's last 10 ball games got over the posted number. Meanwhile, the White Sox saw their last 4 straight at Guaranteed Rate Field get over the total themselves. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward Toronto minus $1.25 and the over 8.5. Next ball game, little divisional action here. I'm talking about the Cardinals taking on the Brewers, 8:10 Eastern start time. St. Louis is minus 140, totals 9. Jack Flaherty for the Cards, Chichi Gonzalez for Milwaukee. Now, both pitchers have seen very limited action this season. As a matter of fact, both of these pitchers have just 10 total innings of work between the two of them. But I actually think the advantage in this one may go to Milwaukee. They're 16-12 straight up at home. They're in the top 5 in hitting home runs. Now, Rowdy Tellez, he has double-digit home runs on the season, along with 39 runs batted in. Now, they're taking on a St. Louis team on the other side who lost 4 out of their last 5. And they also have a losing record as the away team. And once again, pitching-wise, Jack Flaherty's got just 3 innings of work under his belt this year, and he already has an ERA of 6 even. Now, total-wise, St. Louis is 10-6 to the under in divisional road games. They've also averaged only 3.7 runs a game in their last 10 meetings with Milwaukee. So if you're into historical trends, you certainly want to think about that one there. And speaking of head-to-head meetings, 6 out of those 10 ball games I just mentioned fell under the posted total. So once again, if you're into historical trends, plenty of unders to go around. I'm going to lean toward Milwaukee, plus 1.5, keeping this one close, and the under 9. Next contest, Mets, Astros, 8-10 East. Houston's minus 130, totals 9. Jose Urquidy for Houston, Trevor Williams for New York. And despite his current record, Trevor Williams has a solid 3.53 ERA, along with a 1.26 whip. The Mets have also mollywopped the baseball all season long. They're in the top 3 in scoring, and they're leading the Bigs in team batting average. Jeff McNeil's hitting .327 and ranks in the top 10 in the majors in that category. While Pete Alonso's the team leader in home runs with 19 of them. Now, Alonso's also the league leader in RBI with 64. They're taking on Jose Urquidy, whose ERA has crept up to 4.99 already. The righty's also got a pretty bad whip of 1.52. And even if Urquidy gets back on track here today, the Stros really haven't been attacking the baseball like they used to at the plate. They're currently amongst the worst home scoring teams in the American League right now. Now, total-wise, oddly enough, 5 out of Houston's last 7 ball games at Minute Maid Park got over the number. While New York, on the other side of things, they went 60% to the over in their last 10 at any location. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward the Mets plus $1.10 and the over 9. Next matchup, it is going to be Royals taking on the Angels, 9:38 Eastern first pitch. Now the Angels are minus $1.85, totals 9. Reed Detmers for Los Angeles, Johnny Heasley for Kansas City. Now Heasley, he struggled, a bit with control this year. He's walked nearly as many batters as he's struck out. He also has a 1-3 record and a whip of 1.40. And even if Heasley has a good outing, he's backed by one of the worst lineups in the American League. These guys are scoring only 3.8 runs a game, and they're in the bottom 3 in home runs. Now they're taking on Reed Detmers, who's one of the better whip pitchers in the American League. The lefty's currently got himself a whip of just 1.08. But it's also these Angels bats that fill the stands. Mike Trout's hit 21 home runs and ranks 2nd in the majors in that category. Now Trout's also 2nd in the bigs with a 1.038 OPS. Meanwhile, Shohei Ohtani is right behind him with 13 homers on the year. When it comes to the total in this one, LA went 8-2 to the under in their last 10. Meanwhile, Kansas City saw their last 7 straight on the road fall under the total themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Angels, minus 1.5, and the under 9 runs. Next ball game, it is going to be D-backs taking on the Padres. That's going to be a 9:40 Eastern first pitch. San Diego's minus $1.25, total 7. Sean Manaea for San Diego, Zach Gallen for Arizona. And even though Gallen's been excellent, the D-backs have lost 3 out of their last 4 on the road. Arizona's biggest problem has been their inability to get on base. They're nearly dead last in team batting average, and they're fanning nearly double-digit times a game at the dish. They're also taking on Sean Manaea on the other side of things, who's got 76 big strikeouts already, along with a 1.15 whip. Now the Pods are currently 15 games over 500, and they've got a lineup who's in the top 10 in scoring right now. Now total-wise, San Diego's 21-10 to the under at Petco Park. They've also held Arizona to just 3.4 runs a game in their last 10 head-to-head meetings. Now, Arizona, they are 14-5 to the under against the NL West this year themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Padres -1.25, and the under 7 runs. Of that, guys, we're going to jump into our next and final free pick for the video. It is going to be Mariners A's 940 East. Seattle's -145, totals 8.5. Marco Gonzalez for Seattle. James Caprillion for Oakland. Now, Caprillion's still in search of his first win of the season. He's a winless 0-4 with a 6.31 ERA. Now, the A's also can't hit for shit. They're dead last in team batting average, and they're scoring only 3.2 runs a game. They're squaring off against a Mariners club who's been very patient at the dish this season themselves. The Mariners are actually amongst the league leaders in walks per 9 at the plate. When it comes to the pitching in this one, Marco Gonzalez comes into today's start with a respectable 3.41 ERA. Now, total-wise, Seattle's 8-2 to the under in their last 10. Meanwhile, Oakland went 60% to the under in their last 10 themselves. I'm going to lean towards Seattle -145. And the under 8.5 runs. Of that, guys, now it's time for our quick pick recap. Powered to you by my website at patreon.com/BrockPage. We're at packages on that website starting at just $1.99. I like the Dodgers -1.5, under 9.5 runs. Give me the Marlins -130, under 8. I like Baltimore winning their game outright for some money line cash. Give me the Cubs +1.5, under 9. Boston -1.5, under 9.5. Yankees winning their game outright for some money line cash. Give me the Giants +1.5, over 9.5 runs. Cleveland +1.5, over 9.5. Philadelphia +105, over 8.5. Toronto -1.25, over 8.5. Milwaukee +1.5, under 9. New York Mets +110, over 9 runs. LA Angels -1.5, under 9. San Diego -1.25, under 7 runs. With my next and final free pick for the video, I'm going to lean toward the Mariners -145 and the under 8.5. With that, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on patreon.com/BrockPage. Now, if you guys do end up getting a membership here today on my website, just keep in mind you're going to get billed the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. So if you do end up getting a membership here today on my safe and secure website, you're going to get access to that membership every single day all the way through the end of June. I always tell folks in every single video, the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. And guys, if you want to get access to every single bet, every single package, every single day, you're going to want to sign up for my board member tier package. Not only do board members get access to the board member tier package bet itself, once again, you get access to every single bet, every single package, every single day, all the way through the end of June. It's an all-inclusive membership. But most importantly, guys, gotta thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, guys, happy Tuesday to you. Best of luck to you. I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.